Hello folks and welcome. So today's video I have MX Fluxbox. I'm going to be talking about what I call simulated launchers, these things over here. And I'm going to talk about the importance of the icon sizes. And I'll even show you launchers from the different systems. System icons, in other words. Some of these are my own icons. But anyways, whether you downloaded them off the internet or made your own, I'm going to show you how to take an application that did not get installed through Package Manager or Terminal, and you brought it in from another source, and you wanted to create simulated launchers on your desktop. That's what I'm referring to. This is not everybody's cup of tea, I understand. But, you know, for the ones that want to know how to do this kind of stuff, hang on. Now, I am filming in the native video resolution of 4K, which this is how it was brought up on my screen, just to give you the perspective of the icon sizes. So a lot of these may appear very small to you. I do recommend that you watch this video on the biggest screen possible for you, and more importantly, also in full screen. If you're watching this on a mobile device, I believe that's going to be way too small for you. All of my videos also have chapters or timelines, just as an FYI. Okay, and then I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk about a tool also that does resizing of icons. It's a tool that I've been using for many years. So this is MX, so Fluxbox. Let me resize the icon. So I'm going to hold down my Alt key and use my right button to resize the box. And that's how you can do that with any window. So this is this version of Fluxbox 1.3.7, Fluxbox 3.0, MX 21.3 as of March 2023. Okay, so again, I'm going to click the welcome side and talk about one particular piece of software to install if you're wanting to download some icons off the internet, make your own icons, and then have them resized. All right, so I'm going to click Popular Apps. And again, one more reminder, this is being filmed in 4K and it's native video resolution from my screen. So if it is too small for you, then I would suggest either full screen or larger screen to watch. You can also watch my videos on your big screen TVs if you have a smart TV with the YouTube app on it. Now, I am going to put in my password for the MX package installer and talk about only one tool to install. And that tool is called Gimp. Some of you folks are familiar with that, and if you are, that's great. If not, Gimp is an advanced picture editor. It's not super hard to learn, but it is a learning curve nonetheless because it has a lot of tools. But I'm going to give you some of those tips today. I installed the full version. So if you're wanting to resize icons, this is the same icon, but it's been resized. These are applications that I can launch. So I brought in, let me talk about this now and get this over with. I'm going to open up Thunar, the file manager. And again, you can resize these boxes just by holding down your Alt key and grabbing your computer mouse with the key on the very right and click and drag to make this bigger. And then you can use my tip also on holding down your control key and scrolling with your computer mouse to make these bigger or smaller. So what I did was I brought in a folder from another system on a USB stick and I placed it in here. This could be any application really, but it happens to be an old school game. So some of you old school gamers may have fun watching this. So I have two versions of it, 32-bit or 64. My Fluxbox installation is 64-bit, so I want that file. That's my executable, my program, my application. But for me to get the copy and command to light up, I need to make sure my properties permissions are set for allow this file to be run as a program. That's very important. If it's not, when you try to copy this on the tool I'm about to show you, you won't have that option. So double check your settings on your permissions. Okay, with that said, I'm going to go back out into pictures. I downloaded a second folder that I called icons, that I've been collecting icons for many, many years. Some of these I've edited, some of these I've downloaded and edited, and some of them I made. So I got goofy stuff here. Let me resize these up. Stuff like that, where I take like the Darth Vader guy and put red eyeballs, and same thing with stormtroopers. Anyways, my whole point is they're just icons. So this icon here is actually this one. It's just slightly resized. And of course I can just resize this on the fly using my method of holding down the control key with my left hand while scrolling with my computer mouse. So this icon here is this one right there. It's a smaller version of this one. Okay. So just be aware that I'm going to be using icons that came not from your system, but I brought in this folder, is what I'm saying. Just to be clear about this. So let me create one from the system using the same program or application. So right click on your screen, appearance. We're going to talk about desktop icons. This kind of creates simulated launchers. Okay. We're going to talk about also removing icons toward the end and adding a new icon first. And then I'll talk about, a lot of people will click on the application and send it to the desktop, and then they don't see anything over here. And I'll show you that in a minute of why that would be confusing to some people. So I'm going to add a new icon, double click, there's the usage right there. And then we need to give it a name, any name. So we're going to call this something different from that. I'll call this test game 1. Because I don't have anything that says test game on it. So that's my caption. You can also leave it alone. However, I do recommend that you put something. And then I also recommend keeping the link name the same. That comes in handy when you're doing your deletes. Alright, the next thing is I have 3 choices, and I normally leave the middle click and the right click alone. You could add some text in this one here, but I'm going to leave these alone and focus in on the left command. We're going to go find, I'm going to go find that particular application that I brought in my download folder and Spearmint. Now again, this is an old school game. I'll resize this up a little bit. And since I'm using the 64-bit version of Fluxbox, I'm going to right click and use that and copy that. If I don't have the copy command, I better head on down to properties and find out why. It's usually a permissions issue. So I'm going to close that. Try to close that. Then I'm going to right click with my mouse and paste that. So I got my home. Mr. Tom is my user, home folder, downloads, and blah, blah, blah. And that's the file name. Next. Now it's time for icons. The first example I'm going to give you is I'm using a system icon. You can use anything in here, even the goofy eyes over here if you like. So I want to use goofy eyes. But I want you to be aware that a lot of these system icons are very small. Again, I'm filming in 4K. My video resolution is in 4K. This is one of the reasons that I left this in 4K, so you can see size differences. So since that's a PNG, I'm going to use that. It's coming out of user share icons. You will have these icons. And then I'm going to wait till the screen refreshes. And there's the size of that icon. You must agree that's quite a bit small compared to mine. Let me grab a hold of this thing and move it over here to give you a comparison. All right, now would be a good time to open these up and let you see what they look like. They all have the same application, all of these. So since I'm using Simple Screen Recorder, what you're going to see on your screen will appear very dark. Simple Screen Recorder does that with all of my videos when I use this particular demo of this game. It makes it very dark, very dark. So there's another game you can download that is, I think it's available on this repo. It's called Exonotic that you can try out too, and it's in high resolution. You can also look for that. But I'm going to execute this one. Again, keep in mind it's going to be dark. It may be in a windowed environment, but it'll be full screen on mine. And I'm sorry about the noise. Okay, this is very bright to me. So this is Quake Arena. It's remastered though. It's remastered by Spearmint, which allows this game to be played in 4K actually. It's currently set for this resolution, and that wasn't available in those days either. But I can change that resolution up to that if I wanted to. Okay, I'm going to hit back. So I have additional maps in here too that I was capable of that the previous version was not. So I just wanted to point that out. So it's made by Spearmint. So in my previous YouTube site, I used to have a link in my About section of where you can get these maps for this thing. The website is still active, and I want to say they have a couple thousand maps available for that game. In either case, let's move on. So that's the same thing. I'm going to click it and close it, just to let you see that it executes. And I'm not going to click on the rest. You get the idea. All of these are the same. But that's pretty tiny compared to these, right? Okay, so that's my whole point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my folder, and we're going to create and edit some icons. So again, this would be if you brought in your own icons. You know, you downloaded them off the internet, however you got them. So I'm going to take that same icon, and I'm going to use the same example, but I'm going to do a bunch of reductions. So I'm going to first click on that, and that's our guinea pig for today. Right click, open with Gimp, because I installed it earlier, if you recall, or at least showed you how to install it. So I'm going to bring up Gimp, and I'm just going to leave, well, I was going to leave the background, but maybe I'll just minimize it for now. All right, so again, if you wanted to make this bigger window-wise, you grab and hold your your Alt key down, and then right-click with your computer mouse on the right side to resize these windows. Okay, I just made it slightly bigger. If you are wanting to see your image a little bit bigger, you go to View and over to Zoom, and it's currently sitting at 100%. I have the option of going up, so I'm going to use 200% for this example, and it becomes a little bit bigger. Some interesting things with this discussion that I have is you notice there's no background image. You can see the wallpaper right behind the blackness of the round part. A lot of your icons, this is a transparent background. That's why that's a grid looking thing. A lot of your icons will also have a border, a dark color or light color, and that will produce a square. Just wanted to point that out. Not all icons have the backgrounds removed. Some of them you'll download them if you're doing something like that off the internet. There'll be a color in here, and they'll show up on your desktop with whatever color. If it's black or if it's white, you'll have this white border going around it, if that makes sense to you so far. All right, we're not going to deal with editing today. I'm going to talk about resizing only. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to go to Scale Image. And I'm going to bring up this dialog box, which will probably look very tiny on your screen. Again, I recommend that you watch this in the largest screen possible for you, or click your video player down there and go full screen. You can also watch this on your smart TVs, on your smart TVs with the YouTube app. Just take a look at the name of my YouTube site. So there's a link in here that I'm going to sever for a second, and you can change the upper and lower numbers of width and height. I don't recommend that for square looking icons. If I were to change that to 256 to like 75, this will become distorted. All right, so if you're dealing with square icons like this, I suggest leaving the link alone. And then I also recommend that you just probably leave the resolution alone. 72 is good enough. So I'm going to highlight that first number. If you have one of those keyboard with the 10 keypad thing on it, make sure your num lock is turned on. So I'm going to type in 100, and then I'm going to hit my tab, or you can just click in the height if you like, but it produces the 100 by 100. So what I'm going to do is, this is 256 currently, and I'm going to resize it to 100 by 100 to make the icon smaller. Then I'm going to go to, before I do that, let's step back. So I resized this. We need to perform the action of scale. I know you may not be able to see this, but this says help, reset, cancel, and scale. I'm going to click it, and it makes it smaller. Now we can save it. File, not save as, we're going to do export as. Very important. All right, I'm going to export it to the same folder that the big one came from. You cannot see this, so I'm going to read it to you. It says Mr. Tom, that is my user for today, pictures, icons. So that's the same folder I want to save it in. So I'm going to highlight the whole line, and I'm going to give it a name. So what we're going to call that, just so I can find it quick, I'll call that AAA, and since we sized it to 100, I'll just name it 100, just to give it a name. So AAA 100. And then if you forget the extension and you head over here to the export, there are only two keys here, cancel and export. It'll give you a warning. You forgot to put the extension down. So click in here and put a dot or a period, and we're gonna use PNG. PNG for the type of file format. Hit export, and another dialog box pops usually up in the corner, so drag it down where you can see it. And I usually leave all the defaults. And then I only have two choices, cancel or export. So I'm going to hit that. Now let's go take a look at it. And I'm going to discard the changes even though I saved them. It's going to complain about it. And I'm going to reopen this. And let's go take a look at that one. Again, it's sitting in my icons folder under something AA. And there it is right there. That's that size. All right, so I could do the same thing with the same icon. Well, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that one on purpose, and I'm going to create another one like this, but make it a 75. So I'm going to go to the original image, right click, open with Gimp, and it should be 256 by 256 when it opens. Let's verify that. I'm not going to resize anything. I'm just going to go straight over to image and hit scale, and it's going to tell me what the original size is, and it's 256 by 256. Leave the link alone. Highlight that number, type in 75, hit the tab key, or you can click in there, leave the resolution at 72 and scale it, and then save it. Or I should say export it as. This time I'm going to cheat. I think it was that one that I used on the last one, so I'm just going to use the same name, but I'm going to click in there and do a backspace and change that 100 to 75. Right, so we're resizing that to 75 and export. Forgot the extension again. .png. Now we can do an export. And one more dialog box. Keep all the settings, yes. And close. And get rid of the complaint box about discard. And let's go take a look at them. So now I have a 75 and a 100. So let's go play with these. Right click, appearance, desktop icons, add icon, and we're going to call that one test game. What did I use on the last one? This will be 2. Next, keep the same name, next. And did I have the, I think I still have the command paste. Yeah, I do. So all I did was paste it because I had copied it earlier. But more importantly, let's cover that one more time. I would just go in here, go where my program is, and right click and copy it. And then of course, right click and paste it. So that's the same path. Leave these two alone unless you want to edit them. I'm just going to leave mine alone. And instead of picking icons from the user share icons, in other words, your system icons, I'm going to go to pictures, icons, and we're going to use the 75 first. Isn't that what I used? I think it was 75. Or was it 100? We'll find out in a second. Yeah, well, it's test game 2. But anyways, I didn't give it a name. So that's a 75. Let's do another one. And just keep the same names. This will be number 3. And we'll use the 100 on this next one, just to give you the examples. As long as you get the link saved, you're good to go, as one would say. And this time we're going to use that 100. Wait for the screen to refresh. And that one is done. Okay, so we'll drag that down there. So essentially, the old school small is the same size as the test game 3. This one right here. It's just that icon was edited with dots on them, just to give you a perspective of what you can do with that tool, Gimp. That was the system icon. As you can see, there's quite a bit of difference in sizes, and that was the full 256 by 256. They all do the same thing. I'll do it one more time. I'm going to click it. Anyways, exit, exit. All right, now let's talk about cleanup a little bit. So now that you've seen different perspectives, right click on your screen, appearance, desktop icons. This time we're going to choose remove icon. We're going to get rid of test game 1. Test game 1 is that link right there. And we're going to hit next and remove. It's gone. So a lot of you folks may have tried this before. So I'm going to open this one up to the same location I have this application. And I'm going to take the same thing, click on it, right clicking, and I'm going to send this to the desktop as create a link. Okay. I already performed the action and there's no icon here. So I'm going to go back to Thunar, the file manager, and click on desktop and open that. The icon is right here. That's probably a good idea of why I showed this, because a lot of people get confused when they do this. Okay, so I'm not going to show this procedure. But more importantly, you saw what I just did. There's no icon on my desktop. So this is a perspective of several different types of icons. Again, you can use the one from the system. Just be aware that they're small. You can bring in your own icons from the internet, and you can make up your own icons. You can even bring them in from the internet and edit those in Gimp if you want, and change the name and resize them. Just remember, depending on your screen resolution, mine is 4K, some of these look very big. Some of them look small. You saw the system icons. Okay, folks, thank you for watching.